Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. Just realized I forgot earrings. Oh well. Welcome. Glad you are here. I am sitting here listening to the birds out the window, and they are quite chatty today, so that always puts me in a good mood. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, America's kick-ass coach and psychologist, here to share a card with you that I think is going to speak to all of you who identify with what I'm calling practical rebellion. It's logical, it's reasonable, it makes sense, but it's running a little outside of what has historically occurred. Good morning, Cindy. Glad you are here. Welcome. So I will ask you, Cindy, if you would be willing to type the 2 questions into the feed when we get to that point. But I think let's just lay some groundwork for this. And let me think here. I'm just seeing what drops in. I'm going to think what I'm going to do is wait until we get a fair number of our everyday people on here and read the card and then maybe do some rounds of tapping with it, because I think this is something that it's not just releasing our own baggage about it, it's releasing a lineage of baggage about this stuff. So in the interest of kind of clearing some old karmic stuff and leveling the playing field, I think we're going to do some tapping today. Good morning to whomever else has popped on. Glad you're here. Peggy, good morning. Glad you're here. I assume that people will be rolling in here pretty good shortly. So let's just take a couple of nice deep breaths just to settle in. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Good morning. In through the nose. Good morning, Pat. Out through the mouth. Really looking forward to today. I've got some great things to bounce off a brilliant mind. So looking forward to getting together. So that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit before we do our card and before we do the tapping is moving things forward. That when we have an idea, and because I was doing my day 3 of my Tony Robbins homework for my coach, who I meet with again on Monday via Zoom. She's in Oslo, Norway. So I have one more day's worth of work to accomplish before I talk with her. But a lot of it was talking about the things that need to be in place, including our state being a certain state. If we're kind of like, okay, I got to do this work, not much is going to happen. If we're like, yes, I get to do this, and great steps are going to come out of this, and my mind is going to be changed, things change, right? So state is really important. Having those steps laid out. What little steps forward am I going to make with this consistently? All right. And again, it just keeps ratcheting up our trajectory, and we end up where we want to be. Today's card is one of those cards. And interestingly, yesterday I had conversation with 2 young women. My delusion was that maybe younger women were having a better time with some of this stuff than we did. I'm seeing that that's not the case. Good morning, Beth. And maybe that's not all women, but helping these 2 women come into their voices, I think, and just validating what they chose to do, how they're choosing to handle these circumstances makes a difference. Good morning, Linda. In my era, you didn't get a whole lot of validation for speaking up and saying this is unacceptable. You kind of got squelched. So I want to talk about that too. But anyway, I'm going to read the card. Well, I'm going to read the card. I'm going to share those 2 situations masked so that no one knows who I'm talking about, because they could fit for any of us. And then we'll do some tapping. So our card for today comes from the Allowing Prayers deck, 57 invitations to spark a conversation with your soul. Good morning. I'm glad you're all here, because this, I think, is going to be a good one. And our card is actually allow sovereignty. Allow sovereignty. That's been a word that's been going around a lot lately. Oftentimes with regard to Indigenous people, oftentimes with regard to marginalized people, Indigenous people being marginalized people oftentimes. So allowing sovereignty. So nice deep breath in and out. And as women, oftentimes there's marginalization that goes on. Still. Good morning, Judy. Glad you are here. So let's take some steps to address that. So here's our first question. What stops you from speaking up and claiming your needs and desires? What stops you? I want you to just think about that briefly. And maybe you want to do a division, an artificial divider between your personal life and your professional life. What stops you from speaking up and claiming your needs and desires? Both of the young women that I talked to yesterday, their issue was in their professional life. For one person, it was invasion of her privacy, where coworkers were getting her phone number from documents at work wanting to date her. And so she explained to me how she handled it. She handled it very well. She went and talked to the people who can make something happen and explained why she wanted her phone number off the schedule, not there anymore. She'll figure out, she can look on the app and see where she's meant to work, and she doesn't need her phone number on there for people to pirate and then call her. So that was one circumstance. The other circumstance was a young woman who her boss, who is male, was making comments about her physical appearance. He was expressing concern because she has some health issues going on, which are none of his business, but he was making comments in a way that was uncomfortable to her about him observing her body and how skinny she was getting. None of his business, right? So I gave her my ideas in terms of how to address that with him. Again, oftentimes one of the things that stops people from addressing those things is a power differential. This is her boss. Hopefully he will receive it well. If not, she'll have to take additional steps. But, and for us in our personal life, oftentimes what stops us is we don't want someone to get mad. We don't want to, seem like we're being demanding or petty or whatever other words we put on asking for what we need, right? So what stops you from speaking up and claiming your needs and desires? Second question is, how could doing so bring you closer to yourself and to others? When you actually speak up for yourself, how could doing so bring you closer to yourself and to others? So one of the things that I think with that second question is when we don't speak our truth, when we don't step up and claim what we want and need, we're not showing up for ourselves. We're really not showing up for ourselves. Sometimes is there fallout? Yes. Over time, again, I go back to my vending machine analogy, remember? So people put their money in, they push the button, that is you, and wait for your reaction. When you no longer give that reaction or you give a different reaction, they're going to kind of freak out for a little bit. They're going to shake the machine, they're going to poke the button, they're going to, hit the coin return, all that stuff, trying to get the old reaction. When we put our feet down and when we speak our truth, this isn't okay with me. Here's my problem with it. Here's what I'd like to see instead. It can be a little dicey for a bit because they're not used to you doing that. As you do it more often, they'll get more comfortable with it. And their behavior likely will modify. If they know you're going to call them out every time they make a sexist joke or say something stupid that isn't appropriate, they're going to begin to taper off that behavior because they don't want to keep being called on it. Okay? So, for you, maybe throw some things in the feed. What are the reasons you don't speak up? What are the reasons you don't speak up? I don't want anybody to get mad at me. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to seem petty. I don't want to... What's your stuff? Throw some in there. Let's see what we get. So our first question was, what stops you from speaking up and claiming your needs and desires? And second one was, how could doing so bring you closer to yourself and others? And thank you, Cindy, for posting those. I appreciate that. But if you throw in a few comments, then I will weave those into the tapping we're going to do today. Because and feel free also, maybe we'll do a couple where let you fill in the most important stuff for yourself, okay? You just think you're better than everyone else. That's a good one. That's a very good one. You can't take a joke. You have no sense of humor. I'm just having fun, blah, 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 right? All that stuff. So as you think of some, throw them in there. But let's do some tapping on this. So let's start by the side of the hand. You can do both. I like doing both. But we're just going to do that karate chop spot. That's sort of an automatic reset to our system. So even though I don't speak up and claim my needs and wants, you say it out loud, repeat it. Even though I don't speak up and claim my needs and wants, I still love and accept myself. Even though it seems scary to start doing this, I love and accept myself anyway. Even though I don't know how to do this, I don't know what words to use, I am still willing to try. Okay, inside corner of the eyebrow, speaking my truth. Outside corner of the eye, claiming my sovereignty. Under the eye, telling people what I need and want. Under the nose, I'm too afraid to do this. Under the mouth, I don't want to be a needy female. Collarbone, what if they get mad at me? Under the arms, like where the bra strap runs across. Speaking my truth is scary. Around the crown of the head. What if I am too needy? Inside corner of the eyebrows. What if they get mad and do something? Outside corner of the eyes. I think it's just better to go along to get along. Under the eyes. But I'm so pissed off about this. Under the nose. I want people to know what I want and need. Under the mouth. It's okay for me to have needs. Collarbone. And the things I want to speak up about under the arms are things that other people speak up about. Around the crown of the head. So why can't I? Take a breath. Let it go. What do you notice? I feel like kind of a buzzing in my head. What do you notice? Good morning, Carolyn. We are doing some tapping today. Welcome, welcome. So let's do another round. Inside corner of the eyebrows. I have the right to speak my truth. Outside corner of the eyes. Other people have the right to respond as they will. Under the eyes, I can use what I've learned. Under the nose, from taking the war out of our words. Under the mouth, there's lots of good examples in there. Collarbone, I can set my own boundaries. Under the arms, I can speak my own truth. Around the crown of your head, I can do this for me. Inside corner of the eyebrows, I show up for me. Outside corner of the eyes, I speak my truth calmly and directly. Under the eyes, I am willing to practice. Under the nose, until this gets comfortable for me to do. Under the mouth, until this is second nature. Collarbone, until people know what I want and need. Under the arms, I continue to speak my truth. Around the crown of the head, I show up for me. Nice deep breath. Let it go. What do you notice? Now you can go back and do rounds and rounds and rounds of this stuff. You can do some rounds on the things that chime for you. Maybe your issue isn't about appearing needy or people not listening or people retaliating. Maybe you've got some other issues around that you'd like to do some tapping on. Do that. Do that. What this is doing is setting up your system to flush out this old stuff. The nice girls don't rock the boat, all that stuff that we were taught that does not serve us. Does not serve us. And what the end result is you allow your own sovereignty. You allow yourself to have your own opinions. You allow yourself to figure out what they even are. Good morning, Mel. Good morning, good morning. This is a good one. You probably want to go back and watch this one. We're right toward the end now. But we all have the right to sovereignty. We all have the right to control over our own bodies. We all have the right to speak our truth. And if the other person has what seems to be a competing agenda, taking the time to talk with each other about, okay, how are we going to accommodate the competing agendas? Again, if there's a power differential, this is your boss, whatever, figuring out how you're going to speak your truth in a way that allows you to improve your sovereignty. Because here's my thing. It may appear that not speaking your truth allows things to go more smoothly. I think that's an illusion. Because what happens is we're building up this head of steam anyway. And that's when things come out in passive-aggressive ways. So if we don't feel like we have the power to speak our truth, we start making crappy little side comments. We start agitating behind the scenes. We start doing stuff that human beings do when they don't feel like they have power and authority over themselves. On the other hand, when we feel like we can say, that really doesn't work for me, and here's why. Do we have some other options? What could we do instead? Two powers that be, I think they can look at you with renewed respect. Yes, it may make their job a little more difficult. That's okay. That's okay. In the long run, it's going to end up making the work environment a whole lot better because that behind the scenes stuff won't be going on. It's direct, it's face first, etc. So, allow sovereignty. Allow sovereignty. What stops you from speaking up and claiming your needs and desires? How could doing so bring you closer to yourself and to others? So, your mission for today, should you choose to accept it, is to think through some of those opportunities that you've had recently to speak your truth and you didn't, or opportunities where you did speak your truth, but you didn't feel like you did it as well as you would like to. That's okay. That's how we learn. That's how we practice. Yeah, that didn't go very well. What could I have done a little differently to make that flow a little more smoothly? And I want you thinking about what are some opportunities that I have on the table right now to speak my truth. Take some of those opportunities. Practice. How would I like to say this? What's a direct, calm, clear way to communicate what I'm not okay with? That may be the great way to start. I'm not okay with X because Y. What do we have for opportunities to change this? That kind of puts, instead of it being a battle, it puts you beside each other. We're going to work on this together. So I'll give you an example. If I were to say to someone who had power and authority over me, I'm not okay with you making comments about my body. That's very uncomfortable for me. What do we have for options? See what they say. And again, good morning, Deb. We're just about done, but this is a really good one, so definitely go back and watch it again. When we speak our truth that way and we leave that open-ended piece at the end, what are our options? It, again, draws the person into our options. This is an issue that we can work on together. It's not, I'm saying you're a terrible, horrible, awful person and you better fix this or else. It's, we have an issue. What can we do to work on this? All right? So that is our card for today. Have an awesome day. Oh, happy little bird out there. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are, including allowing sovereignty. Bye-bye.